God says, someone from your past is about to return with news. It will shock you deeply. Don't ignore this. Open urgently before 11:59 p.m. This is not a random statement. This is not a casual thought passing through your mind. This is a divine alert. There are moments in life when heaven interrupts the ordinary flow of your day to warn you, prepare you, and position you. This is one of those moments. You may have been scrolling, distracted, thinking about something else entirely, but the Spirit of God has brought you here for a reason. There is a movement taking place behind the scenes of your life, and it involves someone you thought was finished, forgotten, or forever gone. When God speaks about someone from your past returning, it is never small. The past carries history. It carries memories, emotions, unfinished conversations, wounds, promises, regrets, and sometimes unanswered questions. And when God says they are about to return with news, it means something has shifted. Something has been set in motion. This is not about coincidence. It is about orchestration. While you were focusing on surviving, healing, building, or moving on, heaven was aligning events, stirring hearts, and arranging encounters. You may not see it yet, but the return of this person is connected to a bigger picture than you realize. And then comes the warning. It will shock you deeply. That word shock is not used lightly. Shock disrupts your emotional balance. Shock breaks your expectations. Shock forces you to confront something you did not see coming. You may believe you are prepared. You may think you have moved on completely. But when the message comes, when the call arrives, when the name appears on your screen, it will hit differently. It will stir something in you. It may awaken old feelings. It may bring sudden clarity. It may even challenge the peace you fought so hard to build. That is why God is warning you now, so that you are not spiritually caught off guard. There is also urgency in this message. Open urgently before 11:59 p.m. Midnight represents a threshold. It represents the closing of one day and the beginning of another. In the spiritual realm, midnight symbolizes transitions, decisions, and divine interventions. There are windows of opportunity that do not remain open forever. There are conversations that must be handled with wisdom in the right moment. If God is saying before 11:59 p.m., it means timing matters. Your response matters. Your readiness matters. This is not about panic. It is about preparation. You need to understand something very important. Not every return is meant to destroy you, and not every return is meant to restore you. Some returns are tests. Some are confirmations. Some are closures. And some are divine restorations you never expected. But when God announces it beforehand, it means He wants you spiritually alert. He does not want you reacting purely from emotion. He does not want you making impulsive decisions based on old pain or old attachment. He wants you anchored. Ask yourself honestly, is there someone you never fully resolved things with? Someone whose absence changed the direction of your life? Someone you prayed about, cried over, or finally surrendered to God? If this message is stirring something in your spirit right now, that is not an accident. The Holy Spirit often prepares the heart before the event takes place. He whispers before the knock on the door. He warns before the phone rings. He signals before the message arrives. This is why you cannot ignore this word. Ignoring it could mean mishandling the moment. Ignoring it could mean responding from fear instead of faith. Ignoring it could mean missing what God is trying to reveal through this person's return. Whether the news they bring is good or difficult, it carries purpose. Heaven does not waste encounters. If someone from your past is being moved back into your present, there is a reason attached to it. You may be thinking, why now? After all this time? But that question itself reveals something powerful. Timing is everything in the kingdom of God. What was not possible before may now be necessary. What was too painful before may now be healed. What was hidden before may now be exposed. God works in layers, and sometimes the final chapter of a story begins long after you thought the book was closed. So prepare your heart. Do not let anxiety take over. Do not let assumptions control your thoughts. This is not a message of fear. It is a message of readiness. The shock you will feel is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to awaken you. It is meant to reveal something you could not see before. God would not warn you unless He was also protecting you. Tonight marks a threshold. Before 11:59 p.m. symbolizes a decision point in your spirit. Will you respond with maturity? Will you listen carefully? Will you seek God before answering? Someone from your past is about to return with news, and it will shake something inside you. But you are not being warned to panic. You are being warned to prepare. Heaven is moving. And this time, you will not be unready. Now let us go deeper into this prophetic warning. God says, someone from your past is about to return with news. The question rising in your spirit right now is simple but powerful. Who could this be? The past is not a small place. It holds seasons, relationships, conversations, and connections that shape who you are today. When heaven speaks about someone returning, it is not vague. It is intentional. And the fact that this word is stirring something inside you means there is already a name forming in your mind. It could be an old friend you drifted away from without closure. Someone who once understood you deeply but disappeared during a difficult season. It could be a family member with whom there was tension, misunderstanding, or silence that lasted longer than expected. Perhaps it is someone you once loved deeply. A relationship that ended suddenly, painfully, or mysteriously. Or maybe it is a mentor, a spiritual guide, or even someone you helped long ago who is now coming back with something significant to say. You must understand something clearly. Not all returns are romantic, and not all returns are negative. Sometimes God allows people to circle back into your life because something was left unfinished. There are conversations that were never completed, apologies that were never spoken, truths that were never revealed, seeds that were planted but never harvested. When someone returns with news, it means they are carrying something. The return is not empty. It has substance. But here is where discernment becomes critical. There is a difference between destiny reconnection and distraction. Some people return because God has softened their heart and completed a work inside them. Others return because they are lonely, curious, or seeking familiarity. The challenge for you is not to assume that every return equals restoration. That is why this warning came before the event. God is preparing you to see clearly. Ask yourself, when you think about this person, what rises first, peace or anxiety? Does your spirit feel calm or unsettled? The Holy Spirit often gives subtle signals before the physical encounter ever happens. If this message is creating a mixture of anticipation and caution inside you, that is not accidental. God is sharpening your awareness. You are not the same person you were when this individual was last in your life. You have grown. You have healed. You have matured. And that means you must respond differently this time. There is also another possibility that many overlook. The person returning may not be someone you were emotionally attached to. It can be someone connected to opportunity. Someone who once rejected you, overlooked you, or underestimated you may now be coming back with news that shifts your position. Doors that were once closed may reopen. Information that was hidden may now be revealed. Sometimes the shock is not emotional, it is elevation. Still, you must not let curiosity control you. Curiosity can make you respond too quickly. It can make you open conversations without prayer. It can make you revisit memories without protection. Remember, the enemy can imitate movement, but he cannot replicate divine timing. If this return is orchestrated by God, there will be clarity attached to it. If it is a distraction, confusion will follow. Pay attention to the fruit, not just the excitement. This is why you are being alerted now, so that when the name appears, when the notification comes, when the unexpected message arrives, you will not be shaken internally. You will observe. You will listen. You will pray before responding. You will not let nostalgia override wisdom. And if this message feels personal, if a specific face has already crossed your mind, take a moment right now to acknowledge that God may be speaking directly to your situation. Do not brush it off. Engage with it spiritually. If this word is resonating with you, if you sense that something is aligning in your life, I encourage you to take action right now. Like this message as a declaration that you are spiritually alert. Comment that you are ready for clarity and discernment. Share this with someone who may also need preparation. And subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next revelation God releases for this season. Your engagement is not just support. It is agreement with what heaven is doing. The person from your past is not returning randomly. There is a reason attached to their movement. Whether that reason is restoration, revelation, or final closure, you are being positioned to handle it with strength. Do not assume. Do not panic. And do not romanticize what God may be closing permanently. The question is not just who is coming back. The real question is, who have you become since they left? Because that will determine everything about how this story unfolds next. Now we must talk about the weight of what they are bringing. God says someone from your past is about to return with news, and it will shock you deeply. That word news is not casual information. It is not small talk. It is not a meaningless update. News carries revelation. News carries truth. News carries impact. And when heaven warns you that it will shock you, it means this message has the power to shake something you thought was stable. Shock in the spiritual realm is not always negative. Sometimes shock is the sound of chains breaking. Sometimes shock is the collapse of a lie you believed for years. Sometimes shock is the sudden realization that God was working behind the scenes in ways you never imagined. You may have convinced yourself that a chapter was permanently closed. You may have buried certain hopes, buried certain questions, buried certain emotion. But when this person speaks, something buried will rise to the surface. For some of you, the shock will come in the form of confession, an apology you never thought you would hear, a truth that was hidden, a reason behind the silence. There are people who left your life carrying guilt. There are people who walked away without explanation because they did not have the maturity at the time. And now, after seasons of growth and reflection, they may be returning with clarity. Hearing the truth after so long can shake you because it forces you to reevaluate everything you believed. For others, the shock may be opportunity. News of a door opening. News of your name being mentioned in rooms you never entered. News that something you lost is being restored. Sometimes God uses unlikely messengers to deliver unexpected favor. The same person connected to a painful memory may now be connected to a breakthrough. That contrast alone can leave you stunned. But there is also another side. The shock could be revelation that confirms why separation was necessary. You may discover information that finally makes sense of the confusion. You may hear something that validates your decision to move forward. Not all shocking news is meant to reunite. Some shocking news is meant to release you permanently. It is the final piece of understanding that allows your heart to rest. This is why preparation matters. If you are emotionally unguarded, shock can destabilize you. But if you are spiritually anchored, shock becomes information, not destruction. You must decide now that whatever is revealed, you will not lose your peace. You will not allow old wounds to reopen without wisdom. You will not let nostalgia write history. God often sends warning before impact because He cares about your stability. When Joseph was warned about the coming famine, preparation preserved him. When Esther was warned about danger, preparation positioned her. In the same way, this alert is your preparation. The news is coming, but you are not powerless. You are not unaware. You are being positioned to receive it with discernment instead of reaction. Examine your heart honestly. Is there unresolved emotion still hidden inside you? Is there anger that was never processed? Is there longing you never admitted? The shock will hit the areas that were never fully surrendered. That is why tonight matters. Before 11:59 p.m. symbolizes a spiritual deadline to settle your heart. Release resentment. Release fantasy. Release fear. Whatever the news contains, it must not control you. Understand this clearly. God would not alert you if He was not already guarding you. The shock is not designed to destroy your progress. It is designed to reveal what is real. Sometimes we build stories in our minds about why things happen. When truth arrives, it dismantles illusion. And though that moment can feel intense, it is also liberating. You may be wondering what exactly they will say. You may feel curiosity rising. But hold that curiosity gently. The greater focus right now is your internal posture. Are you ready to listen calmly? Are you ready to respond slowly? Are you ready to pray before answering? Because the way you handle the first response will shape everything that follows. There is a deeper purpose behind this return, and what comes next will uncover it layer by layer. The news itself is only the surface. What it triggers in your life is the true story. And you will be glad you prepared your spirit for what is about to unfold. Type "I am ready" in the comments if this resonates with you. Blessing code 641 is now activated. Before we continue, hear this in the same spiritual tone of urgency. When a message like this reaches your heart, it is not just for information, it is for activation. Souls are being awakened through words like these. Lives are being redirected. And if this prophetic alert has stirred something inside you, you are not just a listener, you are part of the movement. When you sow into this mission through super thanks, membership, or even a PayPal donation through the link in the description or the PayPal QR code flashing on your screen, you are placing oil in the lamp of someone else who is about to face their midnight moment. The Lord declares, "As you give, it shall be given unto you, pressed down and running over." This is not a donation. This is seed in fertile ground. I feel led to say this clearly. Your obedience in this moment unlocks provision for others waiting for a word from God. Do not hesitate when heaven prompts you. As you sow, may unexpected restoration locate your house. Act now. You may still be asking the question quietly in your heart, why now? After all this time, after all the distance, after all the silence, why would someone from your past suddenly return at this specific moment with news that will shock you deeply? That question is not accidental. It reveals something powerful. It reveals that you understand timing matters. And in the kingdom of God, timing is never random. There were seasons when this return could not have happened, If it had happened earlier, you might have responded from brokenness instead of strength. You might have accepted less than you deserved. You might have reopened wounds that had no protection around them. There was a version of you in the past that was still learning boundaries, still discovering your worth, still fighting for emotional stability. But you are not that person anymore. Heaven does not operate on human impatience. It operates on divine alignment. While you were praying for healing, God was building it. While you were crying in confusion, God was constructing clarity. While you were asking for answers, God was orchestrating circumstances. There are moments when silence is not absence, it is preparation. The delay was not punishment, it was positioning. Think about this carefully. If this person had returned before you learned the lessons you now carry, you might have repeated the same cycle. You might have fallen into the same patterns. But something inside you has changed. You have matured. You have gained discernment. You have developed strength that did not exist before. And that internal transformation is directly connected to why the timing is now. Midnight, especially in spiritual symbolism, represents transition. It represents the closing of one chapter and the opening of another. Before 11:59 p.m. is not just about a clock. It is about a threshold. It is about the final moments before something shifts. Heaven often moves at the edge of transition. In the Bible, breakthroughs, deliverances, and divine interventions frequently occurred in moments that seemed unexpected or late. But late does not mean lost. Late often means precise. God is a God of precision. When He says now, it is because every unseen piece has fallen into place. Hearts have softened. Circumstances have aligned. Truth has matured. Even the person returning has likely gone through their own process. They may have faced conviction. They may have experienced loss. They may have gained insight they did not possess before. Timing is not only about you, it is also about what God has done in them. You must understand something crucial. Divine timing protects you from premature encounters. If you reconnect too early, you can interrupt growth. If you reopen doors too soon, you can sabotage progress. But when God allows timing to mature fully, it means the encounter will reveal something necessary. It may reveal healing. It may reveal closure. It may reveal opportunity. But it will not be empty. There is also another layer to this timing. You are stepping into a new season. You may feel it already. Subtle shifts, new ideas, increased awareness. When God prepares to elevate or reposition you, He often ties up loose ends from the past. He resolves unfinished stories. He brings hidden truths to light. He closes doors cleanly or restores them properly. Nothing remains ambiguous. Clarity becomes the foundation for your next level. If someone from your past is returning now, it could mean that unresolved energy must be addressed before you move forward fully. God does not build new structures on unstable foundations. He clears the ground first. He makes sure your heart is steady. He makes sure your mind is clear. He makes sure you are not dragging confusion into your future. But do not misunderstand this moment. Timing does not guarantee restoration. It guarantees revelation. The purpose of now is not necessarily reunion. It is understanding. It is completion. It is alignment. When you see clearly, you move differently. When you understand fully, you stop questioning. When truth arrives, peace follows. You may feel nervous about what is coming. That is natural. The unknown always carries tension. But remember, the same God who allowed this timing is the God who has been guiding you all along. You are not walking into this moment blindly. You are walking into it prepared. So instead of asking, why now? Begin asking, what has changed? Look at your growth. Look at your resilience. Look at your clarity. You survived what once broke you. You healed from what once wounded you deeply. You learned lessons that reshaped your character. That growth is evidence that the timing is intentional. Heaven does not rush. Heaven aligns. And when alignment is complete, movement happens quickly. The return may feel sudden, but it was constructed slowly behind the scenes. The shock may feel intense, but it will not be destructive because you are no longer fragile in the areas that once defined you. This is not about reopening old pain. It is about stepping into a new level of understanding. The clock is symbolic. The urgency is spiritual. And the timing is precise. Now is not random. Now is ordained. When someone from your past returns with news that will shock you deeply, what you must understand is this. The reunion itself is not the only event taking place. Beneath the surface of the conversation, beneath the emotion, beneath the words spoken, there is a spiritual test unfolding. And this test is not about them. It is about you. Every return carries a question from heaven. Have you grown? Have you healed? Have you learned? It is easy to see you have changed when the past is far away. It is easy to declare strength when there is no trigger in front of you. But when the voice you once loved speaks again, when the name you once erased appears on your screen, when the presence you once missed stands before you, your true spiritual condition is revealed. The test begins with your first reaction. Will you respond with wisdom or emotion? Emotion is not wrong, but unmanaged emotion can lead to old patterns. If the news they bring surprises you, you may feel your heart race. You may feel memories rushing back. You may feel a mixture of hope and caution colliding inside you. That internal storm is not weakness, it is human. But what you do next determines everything. There is a reason God warned you before the return. Preparation transforms reaction into response. A reaction is instant, driven by feeling. A response is measured, guided by discernment. The spiritual test hidden in this reunion is simple but profound. Can you remain anchored when the unexpected arrives? Old wounds have a way of resurfacing when the person connected to them reappears. You may think you forgave completely, but hearing their voice may expose areas that still need surrender. You may believe you moved on entirely, but seeing them again may reveal subtle attachments. This is not failure. It is exposure. And exposure is the first step toward deeper healing. But there is another side to this test. Not every return is an invitation to reopen what was closed. Sometimes the enemy imitates divine movement. He attempts to reintroduce distractions disguised as destiny. He attempts to stir nostalgia so that you question your progress. That is why discernment must be sharper than desire. Ask yourself, does this return align with the peace God has been building in my life? Does it support the direction I am currently walking in? Or does it pull me backward into confusion? The spiritual test is not about whether you feel something. It is about whether what you feel aligns with truth. Guarding your peace is not selfish. It is stewardship. You fought battles to reach the stability you now have. You prayed for clarity. You worked on your boundaries. You learned how to say no when necessary. The reunion may test whether those boundaries remain firm. If the conversation begins to shift into manipulation, guilt, or emotional pressure, you must recognize it quickly. Growth means you do not abandon yourself to please someone else. At the same time, do not let fear make you cold. Not every return is manipulation. Some are genuine, Some are the result of real transformation. The test is not about building walls. It is about building wisdom. Can you listen without surrendering your discernment? Can you show grace without compromising your standards? Can you forgive without reopening access to what God has removed? There is also a deeper spiritual layer. When God prepares to elevate you, He often tests your ability to handle unfinished business. If you cannot face your past calmly, it will continue to echo into your future. This reunion may be heaven's way of proving that you are no longer controlled by what once controlled you. Imagine standing in front of a door you once begged to reopen. Now imagine having the power to choose whether it remains closed. That shift in authority is the true test. Before, you may have felt powerless, and now you are positioned. Before, you may have chased answers. Now, answers may be chasing you. The reunion reveals whether you understand your current value. Be careful not to romanticize growth. Real growth feels calm. It feels steady. It does not rush. If you feel pressured to decide immediately, step back. If you feel your peace slipping, pause. Prayer is your anchor. Silence is your strength. You do not owe instant responses to unexpected returns. Remember, the news they carry is not the final outcome. Your response to it shapes what happens next. If restoration is meant to happen, it will unfold slowly and securely. If closure is meant to happen, it will bring relief rather than chaos. The spiritual test is not about winning them back or pushing them away. It is about proving to yourself that you are no longer the person you used to be. So when the reunion happens, breathe. Listen more than you speak. Feel without surrendering control. And above all, remain aligned with the peace God has cultivated within you. Because the greatest victory in this moment will not be what they say. It will be who you have become. There are some doors in life you close with confidence. Others you close with tears. And then there are doors that never felt fully closed at all. Doors that lingered in your thoughts. Doors that echoed in quiet moments. Doors that left behind unanswered questions. When God says someone from your past is about to return with news, it often means a door you believed was sealed is about to move again. You told yourself it was over. You convinced your heart to accept the silence. You trained your mind to stop revisiting the memories. Over time, the pain softened. Over time, the intensity faded. And eventually, you labeled it as finished. But what if it was not finished, you only paused? What if heaven allowed distance not to erase the connection, but to transform it? It is important to understand this clearly. Not every closed door was meant to remain locked forever. Some doors are closed for a season of growth. Some are closed so both people can mature separately. Some are closed because timing was wrong, not because purpose was absent. But here is the truth that requires discernment. Some doors were closed for protection, not postponement. When this person returns, you will immediately sense which type of door it was. Was it closed because of immaturity, misunderstanding, or fear? Or was it closed because of repeated disrespect, manipulation, or harm? You must not confuse nostalgia with destiny. Just because a door reopens does not mean you are required to walk through it again. There is a powerful difference between restoration and reopening. Restoration comes with change. Reopening without change leads to repetition. If this return is truly ordained, you will notice growth, not just in yourself, but in them. The language will sound different. The posture will feel different. The energy will not carry the same chaos it once did. Peace will be present, even if the conversation is serious. Sometimes God reopens a conversation not to restore the relationship, but to provide closure at a high level. You may finally hear the words you needed years ago. You may finally understand the truth that was hidden. You may finally be able to release what once haunted you. Closure is not weakness. It is completion. And completion frees you to move forward without looking back. But there is also another possibility. The door that reopens may not be emotional. It may be practical. A job opportunity that once slipped away. A partnership that ended prematurely. A connection that was interrupted. God has a way of circling opportunities back when you are ready to handle them. What you once lost because of inexperience may return when you have the wisdom to manage it. This is why you must stay spiritually grounded. If you panic when the door moves, you will not see clearly. If you rush forward without reflection, you may repeat old cycles. If you shut down completely out of fear, you may miss something meaningful. Balance is key. Calm observation is key. Prayer before response is essential. You have grown since that door first closed. You have endured lessons that reshape your perspective. You have developed boundaries that protect your peace. The person standing at the threshold now is not the same version of you who once stood there before. That matters more than you realize. Sometimes the most powerful transformation is realizing that even if the door opens, you no longer need it the way you once did. That realization alone is victory. You may discover that your attachment was rooted in longing rather than alignment. You may find that what once felt irreplaceable now feels optional. That shift is evidence of maturity. But do not harden your heart either. Growth does not mean becoming unreachable. It means becoming discerning. If genuine reconciliation is possible, it will not feel rushed. It will not demand immediate trust. It will rebuild slowly. And if final closure is the purpose, it will feel clean, not chaotic. The door you thought was closed is moving because something has changed. Either they have changed, or you have changed, or both. The movement itself is not the threat. Your interpretation of it is what determines the outcome. Stand at the doorway calmly. Do not step in too quickly. Do not slam it shut out of fear. Look carefully. Listen carefully. Ask God for clarity. If this reopening is meant to bless you, it will align with your peace. If it is meant to finalize the past, it will bring understanding. And if it is neither restoration nor repetition, but simple revelation, then receive it as information, not instruction. Doors move for reasons. And this time, you have the wisdom to decide whether it stays open. When God says the news will shock you deeply, your mind may immediately lean toward fear. Shock feels intense. It feels destabilizing. It feels like something unexpected is about to disrupt your peace. But you must understand something crucial. Not all surprises are negative. Not all shock is destructive. Sometimes shock is the sound of breakthrough breaking through resistance. There are shocks that wound, and there are shocks that awaken. There are shocks that confuse, and there are shocks that clarify. The key is not the intensity of the moment. It is the outcome that follows. When someone from your past returns with news, the shock may come because what you hear does not match the story you told yourself for years. Perhaps you believed they never cared. Perhaps you believed you were forgotten. Perhaps you believed you were replaced easily. But what if the news reveals something entirely different? What if they confess that losing you was the turning point of their life? What if they reveal that your absence forced them to grow? That realization can shake you. Not because it hurts, but because it redefines your value in ways you never saw. Shock can also expose hidden truth. You may discover information that changes your entire understanding of the past. Secrets that were kept, motives that were misunderstood, circumstances that were never explained. When truth arrives suddenly, it disrupts the illusion you constructed to survive. And though that disruption may feel overwhelming at first, it brings clarity that sets you free. For some, the shock will come as restoration, an apology so sincere it breaks the wall you built, a change so evident it silences your doubt, a gesture so unexpected it leaves you speechless. When God restores, He often does it in a way that cannot be ignored. He does not restore halfway. He restores with confirmation. But hear this carefully. Shock can also expose deception. Not every intense moment is positive. Sometimes the shock is the realization that someone never truly changed. Sometimes it is the clarity that confirms you were right to walk away. Sometimes the news they bring reveals patterns that are still present. A type of shock is protective. It saves you from re-entering cycles that would have cost you peace. This is why emotional stability matters in this moment. If you interpret shock as danger automatically, you may close yourself off from something good. If you interpret shock as destiny automatically, you may open yourself to something harmful. Balance is necessary. Discernment is necessary. You must allow the moment to unfold without rushing to label it. There is also a deeper dimension to this. Shock has the power to accelerate destiny. Sometimes we become comfortable in the version of life we have built. We adjust to routine. We accept stability. But when sudden news arrives, it forces movement. It forces decision. It forces clarity. And that clarity can propel you into a new level of purpose. Think about how many major life shifts began with unexpected news. A phone call, a message, a revelation. At first, it felt overwhelming. Later, you realized it was the turning point. This return may be that kind of moment. It may not be about reliving the past at all. It may be about stepping into something entirely new. You must resist the temptation to dramatize the shock. Stay grounded. Stay observant. Stay prayerful. Ask yourself what the news reveals about your growth. Ask yourself what it confirms about your path. Shock is temporary. Clarity is lasting. And remember this. You are not the same person you were when this individual last impacted your life. What once would have shattered you may now simply surprise you. What once would have consumed you may now only inform you. That shift in strength is proof of your transformation. If the shock brings joy, receive it cautiously but gratefully. If it brings pain, process it calmly and wisely. If it brings opportunity, evaluate it carefully. If it brings closure, embrace it fully. Do not let the intensity of the moment override the wisdom you have developed. God would not warn you about the shock unless He was also preparing you to handle it. Preparation changes everything. It turns panic into patience. It turns fear into focus. It turns confusion into discernment. Not all surprises are setbacks. Some are setups. Not all shocks are storms. Some are awakenings. And as this moment approaches, remind yourself that whatever is revealed, it is not coming to destroy your progress. It is coming to clarify your direction. And when clarity comes, destiny moves. Now we arrive at one of the most critical parts of this prophetic message. God says someone from your past is about to return with news. It will shock you deeply. And here is the warning attached to it. Do not react too quickly. The first response is often the most dangerous one. When something unexpected happens, your emotions rise before your wisdom does. Your heart may begin to race. Your thoughts may start replaying memories. Old feelings may try to reintroduce themselves as if no time has passed at all. But time has passed. You have changed. And that means your response must also change. Quick reactions are usually driven by old versions of ourselves. The version that needed validation. The version that feared abandonment. The version that tolerated confusion just to avoid loneliness. If you allow that version of you to answer the phone, reply to the message, or engage in the conversation, you risk stepping back into patterns you worked hard to break. This is why silence can be spiritual power. Silence is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is space. It is the decision to let your spirit settle before your mouth speaks. When the news arrives, you do not owe an immediate answer. You do not owe emotional access. You do not owe instant trust. You owe yourself clarity. Emotional triggers from the past are real. Certain words, certain tone, certain phrases can awaken feelings you thought were gone. That does not mean you are not healed. It means you are human. Healing does not erase memory. It strengthens your response to it. When you feel triggered, pause. Breathe. Pray silently. Ask God for discernment before you say anything. Discernment is the ability to see beyond what is being said. It is the awareness of what spirit is operating behind the message. Is this return motivated by growth and accountability? Or is it driven by loneliness and convenience? Is there humility present? Is there responsibility present? Growth always carries ownership. Manipulation always carries blame. Do not allow nostalgia to speak louder than truth. Nostalgia edits memories. It highlights the good and softens the bad. It makes the past look sweeter than it actually was. But wisdom remembers the full picture. Wisdom remembers why the separation happened. Wisdom remembers the lessons learned. When you react too quickly, you bypass wisdom. You must also be careful not to overreact negatively. Sometimes, in an attempt to protect ourselves, we become cold or defensive. We shut down conversations before they unfold. We assume the worst before hearing the full message. That, too, is a reaction. Protection does not require aggression. It requires stability. If the news is surprising, allow it to settle before you interpret it. If an apology is offered, listen fully before deciding what it means. If an opportunity is presented, evaluate it privately before committing publicly. Pressure to decide quickly is often a sign that something is not aligned. What is truly meant for you will withstand time and reflection. You are in control of your pace. You are in control of your access. You are in control of your boundaries. That is growth. Years ago, you may have felt powerless in this dynamic. Now, you have authority over your response. Use it wisely. Prayer must be your first reaction, not your last resort. Even a silent prayer in your heart can shift your perspective. God, show me what this really is. Guard my emotions. Protect my peace. Those simple words create spiritual covering over the moment. And understand this: your delayed response is not rejection. It is maturity. When you take time before responding, you are signaling that your peace is valuable. You are showing that access to you is no longer casual. Alone shifts the dynamic. There is something critical about your response that will shape everything that follows. A right reply could reopen cycles. A grounded reply could establish new boundaries. A prayerful reply could invite divine clarity into the conversation. What you do in the first moments matters more than you realize. So when the news comes, do not let shock drive you. Let wisdom guide you. Let discernment filter what you hear. Let prayer anchor your emotions, because what happens next will not depend only on what they say. It will depend on how you respond. You'll be thankful you paused when you see what unfolds next. Type divine discernment in the comments. Lesson code 882 is now activated. Right now, as this warning settles into your spirit, understand something powerful. This message is reaching you because God is using this platform as a river of discernment for thousands who are facing midnight moments. When you sow through Super Thanks, become a member, or release a seed through the PayPal link in the description or the PayPal QR code on your screen, you are not just supporting a channel, you are fueling a lamp that lights the path for someone standing at a crossroads. The Lord declares over you, those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Your giving becomes prophetic alignment. I feel this strongly. Your seed in this hour becomes protection over your household. Do not delay when heaven nudges your heart. Release your seed and step into the blessing attached to obedience. Now we come to the instruction. God says, someone from your past is about to return with news. It will shock you deeply. Don't ignore this. Open urgently before 11:59 p.m. That phrase is not symbolic alone. It is directive. There is something you must do before this spiritual window closes. Preparation is not passive. It is intentional. Before 11:59 p.m., you must pray with clarity. Not a rushed prayer. Not distracted words spoken out of habit, but a focused conversation with God about this specific situation. Call it by name. If a certain person is already on your mind, bring that name before God. Say, Lord, if this return is from you, confirm it. If it is not, protect me from it. Direct prayer creates direct alignment. Do not assume protection. Ask for it. Next, examine your heart honestly. Is there unforgiveness still lingering? Is there anger you buried but never released? Is there longing you never surrendered? Before this news arrives, clean your internal space. Emotional clutter makes discernment difficult. If resentment remains, release it now. If fantasy remains, surrender it now. You cannot receive clarity while holding on to illusions. Forgiveness does not mean access. Let that settle deeply. You can forgive someone and still choose not to reopen the door. You can release bitterness without reestablishing connection. Tonight is about freeing your heart from emotional debt so that whatever news comes, it does not control you. Forgiveness is not for them, it is for your stability. You must also cover your communication spiritually. This is critical. Words carry power. Conversations shape the direction. Before you answer a call or respond to a message, ask God to guard your mouth. Ask Him to filter your tone. Ask Him to prevent you from speaking out of ego, pride, insecurity, or fear. A single emotional sentence can complicate what God is trying to clarify. Before 11:59 p.m., set an intention about your boundaries. Decide in advance what you will and will not tolerate. Decide how much access you are willing to give initially. Decide how quickly you will move. When you establish boundaries ahead of time, you are less likely to compromise them in the heat of emotion. Boundaries are not walls, they are wisdom. There is also something practical you must do. Slow your imagination. The mind can run ahead of reality. You may begin imagining reconciliation, apology, opportunity, or closure before a single word has been spoken. Do not script the conversation in your head. Do not build expectations prematurely. Let the moment unfold naturally. Expectations can distort perception. And here is something many overlook. Prepare for either outcome. Prepare for good news. Prepare for difficult news. If the message brings restoration, remain steady. If the message brings disappointment, remain steady. Your peace must not depend on what they say. It must depend on who you are becoming. Tonight is about spiritual posture. Sit quietly for a few minutes before midnight. Reflect on how far you have come. Reflect on what you survived. Reflect on the growth you achieved without their presence. That reflection will remind you that you are not desperate. You are not incomplete. You are not waiting for someone from your past to validate your future. If this message has been speaking directly to your spirit, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video as a declaration that you are choosing preparation over panic. Comment below that you are aligning your heart before 11:59 p.m. Share this with someone who may be facing a similar return. And make sure you are subscribed so you remain connected to the guidance God is releasing in this season. Engagement is not just interaction, it is alignment. It is agreement that you will move with wisdom, not impulse. Before midnight, choose peace intentionally. Turn off distractions. Step away from noise. Create a quiet environment where you can hear your own thoughts clearly. Clarity grows in stillness. Confusion grows in chaos. You may feel anticipation building. That is natural. But anticipation must not become anxiety. Whatever is coming will not overpower you. It will reveal something. It will clarify something. It will finalize something. And you are strong enough to handle it. This moment before 11:59 p.m. is not about fear. It is about positioning. It is about preparing your heart so that when the news arrives, you respond from strength. Do not rush into midnight unprepared. Step into it consciously, prayerfully, and confidently. Because when the clock shifts, so might your direction. As the moment approaches and the possibility of this return becomes real, you must prepare your heart for both sides of the outcome. God says someone from your past is about to return with news. It will shock you deeply. But what has not yet been defined is whether that shock will feel joyful or painful. And this is where emotional maturity becomes your greatest protection. If the news is good, receive it with gratitude, but not with haste. Good news can be just as destabilizing as bad news when it arrives unexpectedly. An apology you prayed for, a confession of love you thought you lost, an opportunity connected to your name, a door reopening that once felt permanently sealed. When something you desired finally appears, the temptation is to move quickly, to embrace it fully without pause, to assume that because it feels positive, it must be permanent. But wisdom teaches patience even in joy. If restoration is being offered, let it rebuild slowly. Trust must be reestablished over time, not emotion. Words must be supported by consistent action. Growth must be proven through behavior. Good news does not require immediate commitment. It requires careful observation. Allow yourself to feel happiness without surrendering discernment. You can smile and still evaluate. You can appreciate and still proceed cautiously. Remember, not every open door is meant to be rushed through. Some are meant to be walked through step by step. Let the fruit reveal the truth. Now consider the other possibility. If the news is not good, if it carries disappointment, unexpected revelation, or painful clarity, you must anchor yourself immediately. Bad news can reopen wounds you thought were healed. It can bring back memories you worked hard to quiet. It can create a temporary emotional storm. But hear this clearly. Difficult news does not erase your progress. It does not undo your growth. It does not diminish your worth. Sometimes painful revelation is protection in disguise. Sometimes clarity hurts before it heals. If the message confirms that the separation was necessary, accept that confirmation as strength, not loss. If they return only to admit they cannot offer what you deserve, let the truth free you completely. If they reveal information that explains their past behavior, let it settle your questions. Closure may not always feel satisfying in the moment, but it provides peace that confusion never could. The most important thing in either outcome is your stability. Whether you are celebrating or processing, your identity must remain intact. You are not defined by their return. You are not elevated by their apology. You are not diminished by their absence. You are whole before the conversation and whole after it. Do not allow extreme emotion to dictate extreme decisions. Joy can make you promise too much. Pain can make you withdraw too deeply. Stay balanced. Stay grounded. Breathe before responding. Reflect before deciding. Pray before committing. There is something powerful about this moment. It is proving to you that your life is not stuck. Movement is happening. Conversations are reopening. Truth is surfacing. That alone is evidence of divine orchestration. Even if the news is uncomfortable, it signals transition. And transition always leads somewhere new. If the news is good, protect it from premature exposure. Do not announce everything immediately. Let it grow privately first. If the news is difficult, protect your heart from isolation. Reach out to trusted spiritual counsel if needed. But above all, guard your internal dialogue. Do not let negative thoughts spiral out of control. Speak truth over yourself. Say this quietly in your heart: whatever is revealed, I will remain steady. That declaration changes everything. It removes fear from the equation. It places you in a position of authority rather than vulnerability. You must remember that God warned you ahead of time. That warning itself is proof that you are covered. Nothing about this return will catch heaven off guard. And because it does not surprise God, it does not have the power to overwhelm you. Good news will require wisdom. Difficult news will require strength. But both will require peace. And peace is something you have already cultivated through everything you survived. So when the message comes, receive it calmly. Listen fully. Evaluate slowly. And respond with the version of yourself that has grown beyond old patterns. Because whether the news lifts your spirit or tests your emotions, one truth remains constant: you are stronger now than you were before. At this point, you may be focused on the person, what they will say, how they will sound, what emotions will surface. But now you must lift your perspective higher, because this moment is not just about them. It is about purpose. When God says someone from your past is about to return with news, it is not only about relationship, it is about alignment. Everything that re-enters your life carries an assignment. The question is not simply why they are coming back. The deeper question is what this return is activating in you. Sometimes God allows a familiar face to reappear because it exposes how far you have come. It becomes living proof of your transformation. You stand in front of what once shook you, and you realize it no longer controls you. That awareness is powerful. There are cycles in life that remain open until they are consciously closed. There are lessons that repeat until they are fully learned. If someone from your past is returning, it could mean the cycle is ready to be completed. Not to be completed. Completion feels different. It does not carry desperation. It does not carry emotional chaos. It carries calm understanding. Perhaps this return is about releasing something you have unconsciously carried. Sometimes we think we move on, but a small thread of connection remains in the background of our spirit. A question without an answer. A conversation infinite. A misunderstanding unresolved. When that thread is tied or cut properly, you step into a new level of freedom. There is also the possibility that this return is connected to your next level. Before elevation, God often brings clarity to the past. He removes lingering attachments that could interfere with your future. He settles old accounts so you can move forward without emotional weight. You cannot ascend while dragging unresolved history behind you. Consider this carefully. What if this person's return is less about rekindling and more about repositioning? What if the news they carry unlocks information you need for where you are going next? It may not even be about intimacy or reconciliation. It may be about confirmation. It may be about revealing something that changes your perspective permanently. There are moments when God uses unexpected messengers to deliver necessary truth. The very person connected to confusion may now deliver clarity. The very voice that once hurt you may now speak words that finalize healing. It does not mean the past was meaningless. It means the story is being completed. You must resist the temptation to reduce this moment to emotion alone. Emotion is part of it, but it is not the whole of it. Purpose is deeper than feeling. Destiny is larger than memory. God is not revisiting your past to trap you in it. He is revisiting it to resolve it. There is something else unfolding here that you may not immediately see. This return may also reveal how your standards have changed. You may notice that what once impressed you no longer does. What once intimidated you no longer affects you. What once seemed irreplaceable now feels optional. That shift is evidence of growth. And growth is the true victory. If reconciliation is part of the plan, it will align with your future, not compete with it. It will support your calling, not distract from it. It will strengthen your peace, not threaten it. But if the return exposes incompatibility, that revelation is equally purposeful. It prevents misalignment. Sometimes God allows a final conversation not to reignite a flame, but to extinguish the smoke completely. Smoke lingers. It clouds vision. It leaves subtle irritation. But once it clears, the air becomes clean. You breathe differently. You think differently. You move differently. This is bigger than a phone call. Bigger than a message. Bigger than nostalgia. It is about positioning. It is about ensuring that nothing unfinished in your past has the power to interrupt your next chapter. When you look back one day, you may realize that this return was not the main event. It was the turning point. The clarity that shifted your direction. The closure that strengthened your boundaries. The reconciliation that healed your perspective. Or the confirmation that freed you completely. Whatever form it takes, do not miss the greater purpose. Do not focus so heavily on what they bring that you forget what God is building in you. You are being refined. You are being sharpened. You are being prepared for something beyond what you can currently see. And this moment, this unexpected return, is part of that preparation. Nothing in your life is random. Not the separation. Not the silence. Not the timing. And not the return. All of it is aligning for something greater than emotion. It is aligning for destiny. As we come to the end of this message, let everything settle into your spirit with clarity and peace. God says, someone from your past is about to return with news. It will shock you deeply. Don't ignore this. Open urgently before 11:59 p.m. But hear this final assurance clearly. You are not unprepared. Nothing about this moment is catching heaven by surprise. The return, the timing, the shot, the conversation, the emotions. All of it has already passed through God's awareness before it ever reached your life. If He warned you, it is because He has covered you. If He alerted you, it is because He has equipped you. You are not stepping into this blindly. You are stepping into it guarded. You have grown more than you realize. The version of you that once felt powerless is gone. The version that once tolerated confusion has matured. The version that once questioned your worth has been strengthened. When this person re-enters your life, they are not meeting the same individual they left behind. They are meeting someone refined by experience, sharpened by lessons, and anchored in discernment. Whatever news they carry, it will not destroy your progress. If it brings restoration, you will handle it wisely. If it brings revelation, you will receive it calmly. If it brings closure, you will accept it confidently. You are no longer operating from desperation. You are operating from stability. There is something powerful about knowing you are prepared. Preparation removes fear. It replaces anxiety with awareness. It replaces panic with patience. You do not need to rehearse outcomes. You do not need to imagine worst-case scenarios. You do not need to inflate expectations. Simply remain steady. Before 11:59 p.m. is symbolic of decision. It represents the final moments before a shift. But do not mistake urgency for pressure. Urgency in the spirit is about alignment, not panic. It is about positioning your heart so that when the moment comes, you are clear, calm, and confident. Let this be your declaration. I will not be shaken by what I hear. I will not be defined by what returns. I will not lose my peace over something God already warned me about. Speak that over yourself. Let it sink into your thoughts. Let it silence any lingering fear. You are protected. Even if emotions rise briefly, they will not control you. Even if memories surface, they will not overpower you. Even if the shock feels intense at first, it will not last forever. Clarity always settles where chaos once tried to reign. And remember this above all else: this return does not determine your future. God does. A person from your past cannot override your destiny. They cannot cancel your calling. They cannot undo your growth. At most, they can participate in a chapter, but they do not author your life. So walk into this moment with your head lifted. Let your responses reflect your maturity. Let your boundaries reflect your wisdom. Let your peace reflect your trust in God's timing. You have already survived what once felt impossible. A conversation will not break you. Tonight is not about fear. It is about confirmation. Confirmation that you are stronger. Confirmation that you are wiser. Confirmation that you are spiritually alert. When the clock shifts and the news arrives, you will recognize that you were prepared long before it happened. Type "I trust God's timing" in the comments. Blessing code 953 is now activated. And as this message seals in your spirit, hear this final call with clarity. This platform is more than content. It is a living altar where souls are strengthened before their midnight hour. When you release a super thanks, become a member, or sow through the PayPal link in the description or the PayPal QR code on your screen, you are not supporting a channel. You are fueling a fire that reaches someone standing on the edge of a life-changing moment. The Lord speaks over you. As you honor me with your substance, I will establish your steps. This is your moment to act prophetically. Your seed becomes light in someone else's darkness. Your obedience looks prevail over your own household. Do not hesitate. Move as the Spirit leads you. So boldly. Stand firmly. and step into the next chapter knowing you were never unprepared. The return may shock you, but it will not shake you, because you are covered.